My name is Tanya and I work at the City of Edmonton Archives. I do add a lot of data entry. I go through files. I sometimes cover receptionists. I was frustrated. We go places, I'd sign the application form, and then I would just leave my resume with them. I'd get a call back, or I wouldn't. And the frustration would be getting the call back and saying, well, thank you, but we found somebody else. I love working here. It's probably the best job I've ever had.
Are you sorting by chronological?
Yeah. Catherine's a great boss.
My name is Catherine Ivany. I'm City Archivist for the City of Edmonton Archives. I was actually approached by one of our human resources components here in the City of Edmonton who asked me if I would be willing to take what we call the Abilities at Work program, but is tied to a number of different partners with the City of Edmonton, including Inclusion Canada and their Ready, Willing and Able to Work program. So we jumped at the chance to have another willing and able worker here at the archives. We always have lots of work to do, and someone to support our archivists was just a godsend. To have someone who is so enthusiastic and is willing to do almost anything we ask her was a great benefit to us. Because our work is very professional and very specific, and the records that we're working with are unique and one of a kind, we wanted to make sure that we were able to properly train and to manage the work that Tanya does for us. The representative of Inclusion Canada, who came with Tanya initially for the first month to help us figure out what we needed to tell her and how to train her, was very helpful.
The job gave me enough income to move out on my own. Now I work so I can afford to get groceries and pay my cell phone bill. I pay for my television. Ready, Willing, and Able helped me to get this job. They came to the interview with me. They talked to my supervisor, which is Catherine, and now I've been here as next April will be 5 years.
Tanya brings a much more social element to the archivists. She's very personable, she loves what she's doing, she's very enthusiastic. She brings lots of laughter and lots of interesting questions to our group.
Like, I achieved something that I didn't think I was ever going to. I didn't think I was ever going to be out on my own, but I am, and I love it. I feel like I have purpose. Good afternoon, City of Edmonton Archives. How may I help you?
We have 3 children. Myra is 11, Carter is 8, and Rosie's 5. When Myra was born, we found out just about 4 hours after she was born that she had a disability. We were so overwhelmed with all of the information that we got. Everything just blurred together. My husband and I heard about a weekend retreat held by Inclusion Canada that pulled family members together. So it was called Values, Vision, Action, and it was a 2-day retreat where we attended with mostly other parents. And that's when we really started thinking about Myra's future. So it was really based on kind of giving us the permission to dream a bit. And Myra was, I guess, 8 or 9 when we attended. And at that point, she had hopes and dreams. She started talking about being a chef in New York City. And every time she'd talk about it, my husband and I would be like, oh, what's this gonna look like? And then after that retreat weekend, we stopped worrying so much about how we were actually going to get there, knowing that the supports would be there, but trying to give her opportunities in the present.
Hi, I'm Myra Leslie. Today we're making chewy chocolate brownies. The butter and the icing chocolate is in here already. Then you add in the sugar.
And Myra very early on talked about moving out. And in my head, I thought, well, who's she going to live with? At the retreat that I realized she was probably going to live on her own, or maybe with a roommate, just like any 18 or 19-year-old would do. And she would, go to community college with supports or to university with supports. The retreat really helped me understand that I wasn't necessarily going to be the one walking with her through every event in her life. We have Inclusion Canada. I've learned so much about them in the past few years. All of the work that they do with families, and a lot of times there's just no words. It's overwhelming, and sometimes it's really overwhelming to even sit in the same room with individuals, knowing that they've just had such an amazing impact on all of these lives and on a whole bunch of families. We believe Myra is going to be amazing. And to know that there is an organization behind us who believes the exact same thing.
I'm Chris Beasley. I live in Toronto and have a son Mitchell who's 26 and daughter Erin who's 19, and my wife Lori and I have been married for 32 years. We were married almost 6 years, I guess, before Mitchell came along. About 6 months in, we noticed Mitchell was having some behaviors that weren't quite consistent with what was typical. We spent over a year looking for some explanations and going to various doctors and whatnot, and finally came up with a diagnosis. That set us on the trajectory in the world of disability. So that's when we became connected to community living and the inclusion movement. And that's when we thought we found our home in terms of how people were experiencing disability and supporting it and valuing people for who they are and not what they have. Where it's, well, he'll never, he can't, he shouldn't, he won't, he'll always be, this way. It's been difficult for our daughter Erin, because sometimes Mitchell will get angry. Sometimes he'll have outbursts or meltdowns, screaming and yelling and threatening. And, most of the time he's a wonderful guy and easygoing and full of fun and life. But sometimes anxieties and whatnot build up, and when that happens, it's traumatic. Certainly, Inclusion Canada is always there and is always, we know there's always somebody there that can help us and talk to us and refer us, to people and resources.
Connecting with other parents that had been a little bit further down the road from us really helped.
Inclusion Canada is there to defend those rights, to speak to them, to make people aware, and to sound the alarm bells when it's necessary. Mitchell has an opinion on what he likes and what he doesn't like, and he has an opinion on who he likes and who he doesn't like, and what he wants to do and what he doesn't want to do, and where he wants to go and where he wants to live. Since his sister Erin has gone to university, Mitchell's been talking a lot more about where he wants to live and him moving out, as 26-year-old men want to do and should want to do. And then that's, where do you want to live, Mitchell?
A farm.
A farm. Yeah, Mitchell wants to live on a farm. And what would be on the farm?
Horses.
Horses, yeah. And what would you drive?
Trixie.
Trixie is what's Trixie?
She's my tractor.
Yes. Mitchell has a lawn tractor. Mitchell will need support wherever he chooses to live. Supported decision making were made real, then that would afford Mitchell the opportunity to actually own a home. The fact that Inclusion Canada is actively working on projects to support the notion of legal capacity and supported decision making to be seen and to have rights. And I think it's just foundational to what we're talking about when we talk about inclusion. If you are not seen as a person, then how can you be included in any sort of meaningful way? That work is just so important, and we thank Inclusion Canada for being there and doing the work that's needed. When Inclusion Canada talks about the value of all people, but obviously especially people with intellectual disabilities, that everybody has a right to be part of, to be included, to have a place in society that is useful and valued by everybody else in society. That's the inspiration that says, of course we can, and he will, and he should, and why wouldn't he? It's that kind of thinking and doing and seeing that inspires us for Mitchell to have a great life.